USA, and welcome to another episode of the Bernie or Bust Show. Newsweek came out today with a new article that is Bernie or Bust. We have broken the embargo that I mentioned in the last episode of the Bernie or Bust Show, where we were trying to get leftist media such as Tim Black, David Dole, and so on. And I'll link to this list in the comments or in the information section so you can check it out. But Newsweek trumped all of you. Newsweek got ahead of all of you. Newsweek talked about Bernie or Bust today and interviewed Victor Tiffany, the OG of the Bernie or Bust movement. They talk about Elizabeth Warren pulling ahead of Joe Biden in the Real Clear polling and other polling. And then we talk right away after we do that introduction of Warren and her polling, we go right to Victor Tiffany, an activist from New York, describes himself as the godfather of the Bernie or Bust campaign, which started back in 2015. He even co-authored a book on it, Bernie or Bust, Pioneers of Electoral Revolt, and he has plenty of reasons for never voting Warren, even in a two-horse race with Trump. Before we get into those reasons, we should say that this campaign back in 2015 was getting all kinds of attention. I remember seeing the Bernie or Bust pledge all over Facebook, and I remember that people were talking about it in the news. I remember Susan Sarandon and other people talking about the Bernie or Bust very critically, and so if you search for Bernie or Bust, you'll find on YouTube, for example, you'll find everything 3 years old and nothing recent about Bernie or Bust. There's an embargo. It's very easy. You can check this out for yourself. Go on Google, go on YouTube, go anywhere. Type in Bernie or Bust and see what comes up, and it's all old stuff. I've been making this show, Bernie or Bust Show. I have over 100 episodes. All of them have tags that say Bernie or Bust, and Bernie or Bust is in the title of many of these episodes. But if you type that in on YouTube, Bernie or Bust or Bernie or Bust television, the only hits you'll get are 3 years old, with a couple of exceptions that I noticed today. But really no coverage, current coverage, even from our leftist media outlets, the ones that I'm always quoting on this show. So today, Newsweek finally has something. Here are Victor's reasons. Take your pick. She's a capitalist to her bones. Consults with Hillary Clinton. She's a warmonger who's been voting for Trump's defense budgets. She's not especially honest, not progressive, but a faux-gressive. Obama wannabe, and more, Tiffany tells Newsweek. It's so awesome. Tiffany tells Newsweek. He's been wanting to talk to the pundits on the left, and instead of a pundit on the left, he gets Newsweek. Tiffany does not believe that Warren is a strong enough candidate to defeat Trump, or if Trump is removed from office through the current impeachment efforts, he doesn't believe that Vice President Mike Pence would be defeated by Elizabeth Warren. And so he goes on to say, in 2016, Bernie or Bust was a prediction. This time it's bigger and better organized. Bernie or Bust is a foregone conclusion, whether Warren supporters like it or not. I can say, since I got my account suspended on Twitter, that Warren supporters, particularly Warren herself, doesn't like it when we put Bernie or Bust in front of her. I was talking to other Bernie or Bust people on Twitter and critics of Bernie or Bust, but based on the timing, it's pretty easy to tell that I was suspended from Twitter because I was telling Elizabeth Warren, besides all these things that Victor Tiffany is talking about, I said Bernie or Bust renders you obsolete. And it's true because of all the different factions of Bernie supporters who will never vote for Elizabeth Warren, mostly poor and poorly educated, but also others who would gladly vote for Trump if Bernie is denied the nomination, and others who would not gladly vote for Trump but would still vote for Trump and others who would vote Green Party, there's no possibility that Elizabeth Warren can win in the general election against Trump. And I kept telling her that, and now my Twitter account is suspended and I can't use it. Now, this article goes on, talks to Yanette Rivera, talks to a utility company worker in Michigan, and they all say that they don't think that Elizabeth Warren will even do what she is promising to do. And they, Rhonda connects Elizabeth Warren to the DNC, saying that she is a vital component of the DNC machine. It's almost like she's been watching the Bernie or Bust show. She described Warren's plans for health care and student debt as half-hearted and full of conditions. She is fickle and she is untrustworthy. Warren takes corporate donations. How could I trust her? I do not think I could vote for Warren. I will not vote for her. She cannot beat Trump. He will eat her alive in debates. So as you probably have surmised from previous episodes, we are trying to tell anybody who could vote for Joe Biden or Kamala or Beto or Pete or Corey or any of the other DNC-approved candidates, you're not going to win. There's just no possibility that you're going to win. But when you look at this contest and you realize that Warren is in the race to take Bernie Sanders voters, it won't even matter. Even if she does steal enough Bernie Sanders voters, she won't have enough of us, the true left. She won't have enough of the people who will never vote for her in the general election to win in the general election. She may get enough to do what Hillary did last time. She may get the nomination, but there's no possibility. And this news just isn't getting out. Now, this article made me nervous as I went forward. They talked about Quinnipiac has Warren at 38%, to Sanders 26% among very liberal voters, which doesn't mean very liberal. I checked into this. It means neoliberal, people who think they're leftists, but they're not. And then they talked to Kathy Frankovic, a polling expert and a consultant to YouGov, and they're all talking about bullshit. They're all talking about Democratic voters having a very favorable opinion of Warren, and Bernie voters who would vote for Warren if Bernie dropped out, and other crap. And so I was worried that this article was going to go away from where it started and where its headline promised it would go. But after they get rid of Frankovic and these pollsters, they go on to say that the Bernie or Bust factions are more powerful than these people in the middle of the article realize. Cameron Easley, a senior editor at the pollster Morning Consult, said his organization's data do not show a lot of natural crossover between Warren and Sanders. So then I started to wake up and say, oh, maybe this will be all right after all. Easley also emphasized that Sanders does not just appeal to people who want the Democratic Party to shift further to the left, but people who just don't like the Democratic Party and the Democratic Party establishment. And that's a big difference with Warren. Easley says Warren has made gains among people who have paid close attention, and those are the people who are better educated, and they're white and older. And he says it's mixed with Easley. Easley says she's the only candidate who has shown continuous momentum since April, who has either retained her support each week or improved upon it. And then he says that Sanders' polling has been stable, in other words, flat. He has not been able to build on his support in the polling. And then they say that if he were to drop out and endorse Warren, it could be a major moment for her campaign. And it would be. It would probably ensure that she wins the nomination. But that's a moot point because she's guaranteed to lose in the general. And if you don't believe that, then you can watch the previous 101 episodes, better than the 101 Dalmatians of the Bernie or Bust show. And that case is made very clearly and strongly. They talk about black voters. They talk about Biden with black voters and Sanders too. And they talk about how it played out with Hillary over Barack Obama. And then Obama's strong performance in Iowa shifted things around. And that would happen in this election cycle. What happens in Iowa is going to be very important in this election cycle. But again, it's important as to who wins the nomination. What we just keep needing to hammer is that whoever wins the nomination, it has to be Bernie to win in the general election. And so I keep thinking these thoughts in my head as I go through the article, as I went through the first time. And then we say, Trump is a threat. For supporters of Sanders, and especially those who say they will never vote for Warren, Trump is a threat. His re-election would be a disaster, and every Democrat knows this, Victor Tiffany told Newsweek. But he said he would not vote for any Democrat who is not Sanders or Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard at the 2020 election. Yes, Tiffany acknowledges, that will divide the opposition to Trump. So if Democrats want to defeat Trump, then they can nominate the one candidate who can both unite the party and bring in poor and poorly educated voters under the party tent. Bernie or busters, Bernie or Trump swing voters, many of the poor and poorly educated citizens will not vote for Warren, Biden, or any other Democrat because we need a revolution against the neoliberal order, higher wages, health insurance, and free college education, respectively. When asked if she would prefer Trump to win over any non-Sanders candidate, Rhonda from Michigan said she would, but either way, it would not make all that much difference. The vote blue no matter who crowd are irritating with their bullying and strong-arm tactics, she told Newsweek. We have not had the primaries yet, and with all due respect, this is a pointless question. Clearly, it would not matter what I won in the end if Warren is the nominee. Neither candidate cares about people like me. If Warren is the candidate, it would make no fundamental difference who I voted for. And she's right. She's right. It's amazing how insightful Rhonda from Michigan is, because it won't make a difference. If you nominate this woman, you're going to lose to Trump. And that's, again, very easy to demonstrate. So thank you, Newsweek, for including Victor Tiffany and Rhonda and the pollsters, I guess, and Yanette Rivera. Thank you for including these cogent and lucid voices, and we'll see what we can do from here. What I'm hoping is I can throw this Newsweek article in front of all of our lefties here, and we can persuade them, we can light a fire under them to also include in their discussions and in their articles Bernie or bust. We need to get the word out. Please share this new Newsweek article. I'll link to it in the information section. And I'll look forward to seeing you for the next Bernie or Bust episode. Keep on burning.